Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to CxO Global TV, part of the CxO Global Forum. Yet another episode of CxO Rendezvous with Sajad Sikandar. Today, our esteemed guest is Mr. Jawwad Paracha, Muhammad Jawwad Paracha, who has a very interesting designation. He is the global partnership manager and inventor. मुझे काफी टाइम ये लगा इतनी यूनिक डेजिग्नेशन याद करने में. Welcome, Jawad. How are you? Assalamu alaikum.
Ji, walaikum assalam. Thank you very much for having me on this forum, and thank you for scheduling this discussion. And thank you for such an introduction as well.
My pleasure. It is our esteemed pleasure to have you as a member. Jawad Paracha is one of our newest members who's recently started to interact with the CxO Global Forum. Um, Jawad, without further ado, we will get into the show. And my first question is, who is Jawad Paracha? Before we went on live, I got to know that he's a very interesting individual who's worked for IBM for 12 years, NIFT in 2 years. He's an engineer by profession. बाकी चीजें आपको LinkedIn पे मिल जाएंगी. When I ask a guest who is Jawad Paracha, I'm more interested in the personal aspect of the person more than the professional, because professional is always available on our forum on LinkedIn. So this show is more of a personal and professional mix where we rendezvous with the member. So Jawad, over to you.
Okay, so Shazad, thank you very much. Let me just briefly give you a brief intro about my professional, and then I have a lot to talk about my personal things because I do a lot of
That's
things.
great.
So I'm a technologist and global program manager for IBM. I've been leading some of the major transformational projects of IT industry, um, except for the some of the countries which are US sanctioned and some of the countries which are not part of this global network of business. I have worked in more or less 240 countries directly.
Wow.
I have delivered projects in those countries of different nature and different size. I recently
That's a
completed
lot
one.
of exposure and a lot of learning.
Oh yes. So I mean, if you tell me a country name, I can tell you what sort of project I did in that particular country. So I feel very privileged to have done such projects for every country in the world.
I'm
So
sure. I'm sure.
apart from me being a global program manager, I'm also an inventor. I have multiple patents to my name in the field of IoT, AI, blockchain, risk management, robotics. I also have many publications available out there. These
Wow.
publications
Wonderful.
are of different nature.
You're
From
like a knowledge powerhouse.
well, I consider myself as a student actually. So
Well, everybody is a student. The day you think that your learning has stopped, then that's the time success and growth ends.
yep, that's true. That's true. And you talked about my personal stuff. So I'm a long distance runner. I'm an amateur cyclist. I'm a swimmer. I'm a certified scuba diver.
Wow.
I recently ran a London Marathon on October 3rd. That was 42.2 kilometers of an event held
I can
in.
see that on your jacket.
That's our jacket that was awarded to us, and I feel
That's
very privileged.
wonderful.
My next target is to become an Ironman, which is a 1.9 kilometer swim, 90 kilometer cycling, and then for 21
Wow.
of running. So that's my next target for next year.
Wish you all the best. So, now this intrigues me. So, what role does sports play in the professional world? I mean, I don't see a lot of sportsmen. Actually, टेक का एक इमेज होता है, पहले कल्चरली होता था कि टेक वाले जो हैं वो they're just sitting there and they're working on their laptops and their computers and they're coding and developing and inventing, and they're mostly introvert and they're innovative and they're indoor, and you are somebody who's totally the opposite of that profile. You're breaking all the cultural barriers. You're into sports and cycling and swimming and I don't know what all. I mean, and running. I mean, for I mean, marathon and long marathon. That's all very impressive. But does this really help increase your productivity? The running, the scuba diving, and the swimming. Does it really help your professional career and as a person, your productivity?
Yeah, it definitely does. I mean, as a if I put it this way, when I started this whole journey of marathon training and then did the marathon on October 3rd, I actually realized that marathon taught me a lot about patience, a lot about hard work. Because if I put it this way, life is also a marathon. You don't sprint into the things. You plan a journey, and that's where the knowledge of marathon comes into play. So when I ran my first marathon, it was all about the patience, handling your mind power, handling your body exertion. And if I compare that to the professional world, it's all about that. I mean, how you control your emotions, how you control your brain, how you put your patience in place if you are working with the teams, and most importantly, what sort of planning you do in your business. So there is a lot of comparison with the endurance sport that I do, and if I compare that to the business world.
No, that's brilliant because I mean that's a first for me at least. Somebody is into sports. Normally पाकिस्तान में होता है जी हम क्रिकेट खेलते हैं, हम फुटबॉल खेलते हैं, स्विमिंग करते हैं, गोल्फ खेलते हैं. But these are, I mean, scuba diving, marathon, swimming. I mean, they're all totally different sports and very aggressive sports, I must say. They take in a lot of energy, and I'm very intrigued. How do you find time to do all of this?
नहीं आई एक्चुअली ये सब चीज़ें आई लर्न बीइंग इन द ग्लोबल रोल, क्योंकि मैं जिन लोगों से इंटरेक्ट करता हूँ, द पीपल आई वर्क विद इन यूरोप, इन यूएस, इन एशिया पैसिफिक, दे आर ऑल अबाउट स्पोर्ट्स. हम कभी कभार मंथ में एक दफ़ा कॉल होती है जब हम सिर्फ अपनी स्पोर्ट्स की बातें डिस्कस कर रहे होते हैं कि आज आपने क्या किया, किस तरह किया. तो जो मुझे स्कूबा डाइविंग का इंस्पिरेशन मिला वो मेरे एक्स बॉस से मिला. ही वर्क्स इन यूएस and he was a certified scuba diver. He suggested me, why not you try this? And then running and cycling obviously came from a colleague here in Pakistan, and then I found a lot of my colleagues in Europe who do running and cycling. So we kind of exchange a lot of skills between our professional discussions and project discussions as well.
So where do you practice?
Here in Karachi, I run here in Karachi. I cycle in Karachi. We often go outside Karachi as well. Once
अच्छा.
once in a blue moon. स्विमिंग भी यही करते हैं, कभी कभार ओपन सीज में भी चले जाते हैं. स्कूबा डाइविंग तो खैर होती कराची में बहुत जबरदस्त है. तो यही कराची, it's all Karachi.
That's wonderful, and that's also a sign that Karachi is now safe, that you can do cycling and scuba diving and all these adventures. And
Definitely.
post COVID, I think things have improved and opened up. I think during the COVID times, all of these activities must be a challenge for you.
एक्चुअली कोविड टाइम्स में ये एक्टिविटीज और ज़्यादा बढ़ गई थी. कोविड टाइम्स में लोगों ने रियलाइज किया दैट द फिजिकल एंड द मेंटल हेल्थ इज मोर इम्पोर्टेंट. सो people were going outside on the Seaview Road. There were a lot of cyclists, a lot of runners. और हमने भी कोविड टाइम्स को अच्छा यूटिलाइज किया. We ran a lot, we cycled a lot, so that was a good opportunity actually.
Great. Talking about work and lesser interesting things, how do you manage the deployment and customization of Salesforce across different countries, different market segments?
So this Salesforce is one of my previous project. I have worked in all as a global program manager. I have worked in almost 70 projects of different nature. But Salesforce deployment across the world was one of the biggest deployments of Salesforce in the world. This was deployed in 240 countries for 22,000 users, and I was actually program managing this from the global aspect. So if I put it this way, how I did manage. So obviously I had many project managers who were reporting to me. They were looking after the things. My role was more sort of a strategic role where I was managing my stakeholders, the VPs and the directors of our organization, and then managing the worldwide teams on the regular basis. It was a very, it was a, I would say, one of the most learning curves in my life because I interacted with directly with 240 countries. So I learned a lot. I learned a lot about the cultures, how different cultures and um different cultures, how different businesses operate, and how people work in China, how people work in Mexico, how people work in Costa Rica, how people work in Bulgaria. So I learned a lot from this experience of mine.
Great. And how has been your experience in the execution of projects across the globe? I would now say globe when you talk about 240 countries.
Yep. Experience wise, I thoroughly
I
enjoy.
feel Jawad, can you hear me? Jawad, we are having an internet issue probably at your end, a connectivity issue. Your video is
Uh,
stuck.
can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you, but we can't see you. We can
Oh,
hear you, but we can't see you.
let me.
Yeah, it's better now.
Okay. So can you repeat your
G,
question?
we're good. Yeah. What are your strategies to provide network support to companies across the globe? I mean, you've been working with so many companies, so many different markets. So you spoke of strategies, and how do you execute those strategies to provide network supports to worldwide clients?
Yeah, so network support is one of the aspects that my team delivers across the world. So we have team in Bulgaria, we have team in Costa Rica, Mexico, India. We have teams in other places of Europe. We have teams in Malaysia as well. So we kind of follow a concept called follow the sun, and this concept means that we integrate all of the teams in a way that if one team is going off the duty, the other team picks up 10 minutes before that, and then this team kind of rotates in a manner that
Acha,
no, though no time zone in the world is left. So so since you talk about these things, so now government is
that's a
initiating.
nice strategy. Follow the sun. So you're
Yep.
awake 24/7.
I'm not awake, but my team is. I normally, because I manage things in a way that
So
I work.
you are your team. You are your team.
Yep. So government is now introducing this STZA.
Yeah, Jawad,
These
we're having. I believe, Jawad, there is a connection issue at your end.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's better now.
Okay. Okay. So government is
Yes.
now doing this STZA thing. This STZA is exactly something that I've been doing for a lot of European countries. So that's the sort of model that these
Okay.
European have been uh, have been adopting for a while.
So you have been setting up technology zones.
Yep, I've been. It's actually my part of the job to set up these technology zones for different countries. I've worked with Bulgaria. I've worked with many other countries to set up these economic zones.
Great, great. As a technical advisor and an inventor and an innovator, you're a consultant with the kind of depth of experience that you have. What ideas do you provide, or what consultancies do you provide for to your clients and partners to grow faster across the globe? I understand it's a very competitive market and you work with so many markets. So what kind of strategies do you propose as a consultant?
So one of the things that I do, because I work with a lot of startups as well, both national and international. So one of the things that I emphasize on is the fact that uh, people need to set up the organization properly. That's the basic thing that the
Yes.
that the organization have to do is to set up correctly in a manner that if they grow up, they kind of adopt the people in a way that it is easier for them to do the business. Secondly, what I um, urge the people to do if they are doing international businesses, to understand the culture. So if you are working with the European countries, one of the most important thing you need to do is understand what the culture is. It goes without saying that the culture is the most important thing when you are scaling up internationally. Even if you are scaling up nationally, if you are a startup from a Sindh, you need to understand how people would react in Punjab or KPK or Balochistan. So that's the most important thing. The third aspect that I emphasize is the team growth. If team needs to be a lifelong learner. Technology these days is चेंजिंग सो फास्ट कि हमें पता ही नहीं होता कि नई नई चीज़ें रोज़ रोज़ आ रही होती हैं. अब ये भी
बिल्कुल.
ज़रूरी है कि रोज़ रोज़ हमें कोई नई चीज़ सीखनी है, मगर एटलीस्ट वी हैव अ ओवरव्यू ऑफ व्हाट दीज न्यू थिंग्स आर कमिंग आउट.
If not an in-depth, at least an overview. You spoke of various cultures and cultural changes within a country, within a region, and even within an organization. When we speak of cultural change is something that is required for a digital transformation. So, what are your views on that? How do you see digital transformation, and how do you see digital being incorporated in all areas of business now?
Yep. So culture is to me the most important thing that I've learned. I've actually went to Stanford University for one of the program management courses, and that's where they emphasize the most about the culture. Because if you are to set up an organization, understanding the culture in a way that you learn how the people behave, you learn how the people would be happy, you learn about how to manage your teams. That's very important. I mean, if मैं ये कहूँ कि जी यूरोप में ये बंदा जो है इस तरह काम करे, ऐसा नहीं हो सकता कि वो पाकिस्तान में भी उसी तरह काम करे और इंडिया में भी उसी तरह काम करे या मलेशिया में भी उसी तरह काम करे. So every culture is different and every individual is a different, but obviously because you can group the people depending upon the culture. The first and basic point is to understand the culture, set up the vision and mission right, and then set up the culture right of the organization. That's how these are I think the building block of any organization.
True. अब थोड़ी सी ग्लोबल पर्सपेक्टिव से पाकिस्तान की बात करते हुए, you're a specialist in AI, IoT, blockchain, big data. Let's talk about AI and machine learning and IoT. What future and absorption do you see in Pakistan? Are these buzzwords for us, or is there some implementation or reality in it?
I see a lot of potential in Pakistan with regards to AI. I see if we talk about our biggest export, which is the agriculture and the textile, I see a lot of use cases where the AI could come into play along with the IoT. AI and IoT definitely are not the buzzwords. It's all about adoption now. I see a lot of adoption being beginning to happen now. I
What
see
sectors would you like to name who are you feel are adopting rightly?
so
More than
financial sector I see adopting correctly. I see telcos adopting these technologies. I see a lot of public sector, especially the government, is adopting these technologies, and I see a lot of potential and other areas where they can explore these technologies as well. I mean, we talk about the haphazard of our traffic. AI could play a big role there. We talk about the maintenance of our electric system. AI could play a vital role
water
there.
meters, real estate, water meters, IoT is, I think, penetrating into real estate also now.
Yep, that's true. I mean, there's a lot of use cases people can explore, and I think the possibilities are endless.
Great. Um, how do you manage challenges? I mean, you work across markets as an individual and as well as in your professional role. How do you manage challenges?
So challenges are the part of what we do every day. I mean, challenges are not dependent upon what how we execute and what we execute. Challenges sometimes are good because they kind of set us in the right direction. So if you ask me personally how I embrace the challenge, so I would obviously, depending upon what the challenge is, what the complexities are, I would like to first understand how what sort of impact that this challenge would have in my project, in my program, in my organization, with my people, XYZ. And then after understanding the nature of the risk associated with it, we then try to plan for a mitigation accordingly. There are many challenges which need a head on. There are many challenges which can be left. जैसे हम कहते हैं क्रिकेट में बॉल को लेफ्ट कर दिया,
Hmm,
and then
hmm,
there are many
hmm.
challenges जिसको हम इग्नोर भी कर सकते हैं. So it's not necessary कि हर चैलेंज को आपने टैकल करना है.
Great. Our final question, since you're a new member, we'd like to know the expectations that you have from CXO Global Forum by virtue of being a member. And definitely by virtue of this show, you have shared a lot of knowledge for our viewers. There's a lot of learning. There will be more discussions. But what is your expectation out of CXO?
So I've been in IBM for last 12 years now, and then I've been working in this international role for almost 10 years now. We work a lot in silos when it comes to Pakistan market because we normally role ही ऐसा है कि घर से बैठ के या ऑफिस जाके काम कर लेते हैं. So we don't interact with a lot of people here in Pakistan business environment, which is kind of which is not the right thing to do. And obviously realizing that piece, I think now is the right time. I come in and then whatever skills and knowledge I can provide from the international perspective to our organization here in Pakistan to expand their businesses across the world if the organization is planning to do so, and then talk about the things from the global perspective, how things are expanding in the global environment, and then how we can strategize these things from the local perspective.
Great, Jawad. Thank you very much. It's lovely having you on the show. Thank you for your time. We're looking forward to a lot of contribution from you. I hope you will also gain some knowledge sharing from the pool that we have, and there will be a lot of networking that you would be looking forward to. Thank you, Jawad. Thank you for your time.
Thank
Looking
you.
forward to seeing you again. Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz. Thank you very much. Allah
Thank
Hafiz.
you. Allah Hafiz.